from the Fox 5 studios, this is Silver State Sports Live.
We're back. Welcome into Silver State Sports Live, the first of its kind daily live sports show bringing you the latest haps around Vegas. Yesterday's show didn't kill us, so we're going to keep this thing rolling. Yep, I'm Mariah Janos.
And I'm Mike Davis. There is no shortage of topics to cover on today's show. We got boots on the ground in Arizona for A's spring training, plus the latest on the Golden Knights as they gear up for tonight's tilt in Buffalo. But first, we need to chat about the Raiders and the ongoing Maxx Crosby trade rumors. Remember, yesterday, Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated reported that Maxx Crosby could be traded as early as this week.
And then this morning, Raiders fans woke up to this tweet from their beloved edge rusher: "Fear less, do more." It could mean nothing. It could mean literally everything. But we're going to talk about any and all cryptic Mad Max tweets because that's what we do around these parts.
Of course, and who better to help us do that than Fox 5 sports anchor and reporter Vince Sapienza. Okay, so social media is filled with a flurry of Maxx Crosby trade talk. The Bears now are the favorite to land him, but Vince, bottom line, this is what I want to know. Does Maxx Crosby ultimately get traded?
Do I get the right to change my opinion?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, he does get traded. Look, it's one of those things that Maxx Crosby has been nostalgic. He's been going down memory lane a little bit on the Instagram, showing past clips, pictures, and videos with former teammates with the Raiders. He's shown training camp clips of him playing running back, saying, "I'm ready." I was joking with a friend of mine the other day that said, Max could say good morning, and we would spend 30 minutes trying to analyze who's it a good morning for? Why isn't it a great morning? Is it a good morning in Las Vegas? Is the weather good somewhere else? There's a lot of different routes and ways you can go about it, but there just feels like there's too much smoke at this point where they've been given every opportunity, and when I say they, I mean the Raiders, and I mean Maxx Crosby himself. Every opportunity, whether it was the NFL Scouting Combine this past week, Max is on a national radio show.
Yeah.
He has his own podcast, and he could post anything at any point and squash this thing right now and said, I don't want to be traded. I'm not going anywhere. He's yet to do that. The Raiders have said, look, we want him as part of the team. We look forward to being to coaching Maxx Crosby, but they're always listening. They always have that caveat of they're always listening, which is the right answer. But you can easily squash that conversation, say, we are not listening on the face of our franchise at this particular moment in Maxx Crosby.
Yeah, they clearly hold the power right now. They don't have to trade him, but if the offer comes along, why not? Now, I want to switch gears a little bit because NFL free agency starts next Wednesday on the 11th. We all know the Raiders have some pretty big O-line issues. We're sitting there all season watching those games together, Vince, and we're like, oh, dear God. So Tyler Linderbaum, Ravens center, he's one of the most coveted pending free agents. He's looking for around upwards of $20 million a year. You think the Raiders just go all in on this guy?
Yeah, so I think Creed Humphrey is the highest paid center at this point, at sitting at $18 million, right? So when the Ravens come out and say that they have a market-setting offer on the table, you're thinking it's not 18.2, it's not 18.5. You're probably looking at $20 million. And if it's going to be a competitive bid, which many believe it's going to be for the services of a 25-year-old Tyler Linderbaum, who is at the top of his position, you're thinking 22, 23, 24, maybe even 25 when you look at the franchise tag. And remember, for offensive linemen, that franchise tag is not just the position, it is the totality of the offensive line. So the top five along the offensive line, which includes left tackles, which is a monster number. That franchise tag is around $25 million. So you have to figure you're going to be in that market somewhere around there between 22 and 25 million. If you're the Raiders and you're John Spytek and you are living by your words, which I believe, intelligently aggressive, there is no other move you can make in free agency that screams intelligently aggressive other than Tyler Linderbaum. Now, again, there's going to be some massive competition because you look at the Chicago Bears. As of the last 2 hours, Drew Dahlman, their center, he retires
at 27.
Surprisingly.
Wild.
Caleb Williams needs to be protected. You look at the Washington Commanders. You look at the LA Chargers, who Tyler Linderbaum and Joe Horowitz had a little bit of a connection over there in Baltimore. So you start connecting all these dots. There's going to be a market for Tyler Linderbaum. But for the Raiders, I don't think there would be a bigger free agent move than going out and acquiring his services.
They have the second most cap space, so they can certainly pull up that Brinks truck for him. So let's talk about this. Under no circumstances, Vince, do I condone the Raiders moving out of the first overall pick. If they do that, I'm going to go frankly crazy. Mendoza is the guy. Mendoza is the future.
You're so high on him.
I really am. I just love this dude off and on the field. But this is what I want to know, Vince.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
in any world at all, in any Marvel timeline, is there a possibility that the Raiders move out of the first overall pick and actually trade it and not select Fernando Mendoza?
1,000%. If we're living in the world where Maxx Crosby can be traded, a guy who has the shield tattooed on his body.
He has so many tattoos he can get that covered up.
He can, but he won't. So that's the thing. If he can be traded, if Wayne Gretzky can be traded,
no one's safe.
Fernando Mendoza and that likely first overall pick can be. Will it be? Absolutely not. The Raiders are, my understanding, smitten with Fernando Mendoza. His nickname, the Nandalorian, his quirky personality has been endearing to the Raiders coaching staff, is my understanding. As a lot of people sit there and say, can he command, a locker room? Can he command a huddle? Look what he just did with Indiana. Yeah. I think he can command a huddle. I think what he did on the field will translate to the National Football League. So to answer your question, yes, 100% can be picked. The Raiders have been waiting for this moment to be in position to have no one in their way to get a franchise quarterback, and it is sitting there waiting for them on a platter. They do not bypass. Fernando's the guy.
He's so passionate. I love it. All right, Vince, thank you so much. You're going to stick around because we've got to pepper you with questions about VGK in a little bit.
Sounds good.
And still to come on Silver State Sports Live, training camp continues for the Athletics in Mesa, Arizona with an exhibition game against Brazil today. Kevin Bollinger is on site to bring us the latest. That's next. And don't forget, the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network is your home for the most live local sports. This week, you can watch the Lady Rebels take on Boise State. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. And this weekend, you can catch the Desert Dogs as they take on the Thunderbirds in Halifax. That's right here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network.
You're watching Silver State Sports Live.
Well, athletic spring training continues with a Little World Baseball Classic exhibition game.
Yep, the green and gold taking on Brazil. So let's send it out to AZ to catch up with our guy, Kevin Bollinger, who's spending the week with the team. Kevin, we're nearly 2 weeks into spring training. Who has been the biggest riser, biggest surprise this year for the A's down in Mesa?
Well, it's good news for A's fans because the person that's really jumped out so far has been JT Ginn, and we know that the A's need some pitching help. Ginn, going to be one of those guys competing for probably the 4th or 5th slot in the rotation, but he's had a couple of really good outings early in spring training, and he's really had some pop on what he's thrown. So a lot of people inside the A's organization so far have been impressed with what they've seen from JT Ginn. Whether that translates to him getting a spot in the rotation or not still remains to be seen, but somebody who is a name to watch throughout the season.
All right, as we look ahead to opening day, who or what will be the biggest key to the A's success this season?
Well, no surprise, it's going to be the pitching. That is the thing that was the bugaboo for the A's last year. They made a concerted effort to try and bring in some fresh arms through free agency and through some trades to try and bolster that bullpen and maybe beef up the rotation a little bit. This A's team has a loaded young offensive group, and they're going to put some runs on the board, especially in Sacramento where the ball can jump off the bat and carry. But for the pitchers, they've got to get more comfortable pitching in a Pacific Coast League park in Sacramento. They did that on the back end of the season, but they need to get more consistency and some more innings out of their starters to go a little deeper into the game, and then they have to get a more effective bullpen. That's going to be the key to big jump in wins this year.
All right, thank you, Kev. All right, so as we mentioned, exhibition games begin today for the World Baseball Classic. Pool play begins tomorrow. The Athletics have 12 players competing in the WBC, but not a single one is playing for Team USA. You can see the list here, most notably Denzel Clark with Canada, Luis Severino with the Dominican Republic. So I got a question for you, Mike.
Yes.
Out of all these great players that the A's have, we're all hype on this young core. Which A's players got snubbed by Team USA here?
I mean, it's an easy answer. It's Nick Kurtz.
Yeah.
And this is a guy, who just came off a tremendous rookie season, Rookie of the Year campaign. It's upsetting because, listen, Paul Goldschmidt, what is this, 2015? Why is this guy on the roster? We have Bryce Harper, obviously playing first. He bats lefty. Now, Kurtz bats lefty as well. I guess Goldschmidt is a right-handed batter, so maybe there's some concept there of why he's on the roster. But still, Nick Kurtz has the pedigree. He did 14, 12U, 16U national baseball stuff. So this guy could have easily been on the roster. If we're talking best player who could be playing first base, it would be him and Bryce Harper for this team. The other thing here is, Mariah, even if you're going with the concept of, okay, we want some older guys who have the opportunity to play in this because it doesn't happen every year. Well, they got Pete Crow Armstrong on the roster. They got Roman Anthony. So there's a bunch of young studs on this roster. Why isn't Nick Kurtz on it? I spoke to an MLB agent today. He told me Nick Kurtz, quote, is otherworldly. When he saw him as a freshman at Wake Forest, he said he was the best player on the field automatically, even as a freshman. So this guy is good and talented enough to be on this roster. But what do you think?
Absolutely. No, I think Nick Kurtz is kind of the sole name on this A's roster that should be a shoo-in for Team USA. So what I've got here is a bit of a stretch, and just hear me out. I'm just thinking more depth, just bolstering this lineup here. Shea Langoliers. Right now, Will Smith is the backup catcher. I crack up every time I say his name. It just doesn't sound right to me. But yes, Will Smith, the backup catcher, is in there. And I know that when assembling this roster, Team USA was really focused on getting guys who have championship experience, obviously have played with Team USA before as well. So Will Smith has that. But when you compare the numbers between he and Langoliers, the margin's pretty slim. The slight edge is the amount of championships that Will Smith has there. But when you're going and looking at them just hitting their production at the plate, Langoliers racked up 31 homers last year, Smith just 17. Then you look at the RBIs. They had, let's see, Shea Langoliers had 72. That's 11 more than Will Smith's. So when it comes to slugging, hitting at the plate, you're just looking for someone that can plug in, that can crank it. I'm looking to Shea Langoliers over Will Smith, but that's just me.
Listen, I still don't even respect Will Smith after what he did at the Oscars. And this is a totally different Will Smith. So any Will Smith to me, why are they even on this team? All right, good stuff there, Mariah. Now you can watch A's spring training games this weekend on Fox 5 Las Vegas. The A's are taking on the Angels as part of Big League Weekend right here in Southern Nevada. That is this Saturday and Sunday. First pitch for both games set for 1:05.
And coming up on Silver State Sports Live, we're bringing Vince back in here because we got to talk Golden Knights as they gear up for tonight's game against the Sabres. That's on the other side of the break.
It didn't look like a lot on the contact, but he's had injury issues.
He has, and
All right, so the Golden Knights are coming off a rough 5-rip loss to the Penguins over the weekend, and they lost their captain in the process. After logging just over 6 minutes of ice time, Mark Stone went down after what seemed like a harmless shove by Chris Letang in the neutral zone, which sent the captain to his knees. He's now day-to-day with an upper body injury, according to Coach Bruce Cassidy.
So naturally, we got to bring back in our VGK insider, Vince Sapienza. Let's talk about this Mark Stone injury. The man is made of glass. He gets injured more than Mike Davis calls out sick.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there's a lot.
I do get sick off.
He does. He is a problem sometimes, but that's okay. That's besides the point here. What did you make of this? Do you think this was something that he was nursing throughout the Olympics and played through?
Yeah, it's tough to not rule something like that out if we're going to speculate, right?
Yeah.
They just went through an arduous 3-week tour in Milan with the Olympics, playing some emotionally tough hockey, physically tough hockey. But it's one of those things. You look at Mark Stone, he goes down again, and it's here we go again if you're a medieval maniac. And obviously very frustrating for the team because when you look at Mark Stone, when you talk about intangibles for a player, Mark Stone is kind of that prototype, right? Like, he is the ultimate rah-rah guy in the locker room, on the bench, the way he lifts the team around him, even if he's not pouring in the points, just his reactions on the bench do a lot for the team. So when he's not there, there is a noticeable drop-off in terms of energy, in terms of tenor on the bench. And it's one of those things, unfortunately, the Golden Knights have had a lot of time to practice without him in terms of playing in those games and going on without him. But, man, when you're looking at what was a career year for the Golden Knights captain, another frustrating, devastating for him, he doesn't want to be hurt, but it's one of those things that, I'm not going to begin to speculate what went wrong because, again, like you said, it didn't look like much of anything, but
it's just
here
perpetual.
We go again.
Yeah, almost every time I look at my push notification on my phone, it's like it's Mark Stone's injured. All right, so Stone joins a long list of injured Knights with the trade deadline looming and the new playoff salary cap rule. So, Vince, do you anticipate any moves being made? What are you hearing right now around the organization?
I got to be honest with you. In 9+ years of covering this team, I don't think it has been any quieter leading up to trade deadline for the Golden Knights than this season. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. You look at Rasmus Anderson. He was the big fish the Golden Knights went out and got before the Olympic break. Kelly McCrimmon talked about before the season, if they were going to do anything, they would be looking pre-Olympic break to do something because the schedule is so truncated in this final stretch of the regular season that you want to get guys online as quickly as possible. That being said, as the trade deadline looms on Friday, you can't put past anything for the Golden Knights GM Kelly McCrimmon in terms of doing something. I think they will do something else. What that is, I don't know. I do think it'll be on the lower level type thing. You have to keep in mind not a whole bunch of assets remaining for the Golden Knights because they've given all their first-round picks. They're up against the cap space. When you look at the postseason, new rule, there is a cap space in place, so that has to be something that is at the forefront for them.
All right, Vince. Well, after dropping 2 of the last 3 games post-Olympic break, the guys in gold have a chance to get back on track tonight in Buffalo, where Team USA members will be honored, including Jack Eichel, despite Sabres fans not having much love for their former center.
This is about the loudest I've heard this place ever. Really, after it only took 7 years of me leaving for them to get into the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was mixed. It was a nice tribute, and there was plenty of people here that were supporting me, and there was plenty of people here that were booing me. So they must just be booing me because they wish I was still here. I don't know.
All right, so that clip was from 4 years ago, actually.
Doesn't get old.
Eichel's first time back in Buffalo after being traded to the Knights. So, Vince, what are you expecting from the pregame ceremony tonight? Do you think the crowd has maybe changed their tune on their old game?
Boring answer, I don't know. I mean, you talk about that as salty and spicy as we have ever heard Jack Eichel, and that's saying something. Look, fans are going to fan. Let them fan how they want, right? But when you talk about what the pregame ceremony is going to look like tonight in Buffalo, obviously the Sabres are going to honor Tage Thompson. Tage has already talked about how he's going to bring Jack Eichel and Noah Hanifin as part of the celebration. Team USA, first time since 1980. It doesn't happen every day, right? So they should be honored. They should be celebrated. That being said, when Jack does get the arm around from Tage Thompson, I'm fascinated to see what kind of reaction Buffalo gets, because since that viral clip in that first game back for Jack Eichel, they have let him hear it every single time he touches the puck in the years since. I don't think tonight will be any different. I am curious what the tenor will be for the Sabres fans during that pregame. But at the end of the day, brought home a gold medal to this country, which is not 3 times ever. So let's at least take a moment for that before, the booings.
Yeah, absolutely, but no one has it out there for him quite like those Sabres fans. It's always really fun to see. Vince, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
So fun.
I mean, you used the word tenor twice, which
I
did. Sorry about that. I can't
but you know
duplicate.
what? I'm also a high tenor when I sing, so I think it just matches the vibe
You
here.
sing in the back office a lot.
I do, but anyways, it's senior night for the Runner Rebels for their regular season finale. home finale, against the leaders of the Mountain West, Utah State. UNLV was able to pull off the upset on the road in Logan earlier this season, but since then, the Aggies have won 9 of their last 11. It's an 8 p.m. tip at the Thomas and Mack.
And the Lady Rebels close out the regular season at Cox Pavilion on Wednesday night against Boise State. For their senior night, UNLV is 9-1 against the Broncos under head coach Lindy LaRocque. Currently, UNLV, Boise State, and Colorado State are in a 3-way tie for second place in the Mountain West. So this is the last push they need to lock in that number 2 seed. The conference tournament begins Sunday at the Thomas and Mack.
Coming up, it's been 2 years since Caitlin Clark broke the Division I scoring record. We're taking a look back at this day in sports history next.
All right, we're going to take a look at the Las Vegas sports schedule right now. The Knights take on the Red Wings tomorrow after today's game with the Sabres. The Lady Rebels have their season finale at home versus Boise State at home. Golden Knights again Friday. That's at T-Mobile Arena. And at the same time as that game, the Runnin' Rebels tip off against San Diego State in their regular season finale.
For college basketball history. She does it with a foul shot.
Whew, what a moment. On this day in sports history, 2 years ago, Caitlin Clark surpassed Pistol Pete Maravich's record for the NCAA all-time scoring record. Maravich was holding strong at 3,667 points, but those foul shots, man, against the Buckeyes put CC in front while putting Iowa women's basketball on the map. Do you remember where you were at this day 2 years ago?
I think I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
That checks out.
Yeah, I think I was. But she was appointment television. I do want to mention one thing, though.
Yes.
Pistol Pete Maravich. 2 things about him. One, he had the best dribbling, VHR tape when I was a kid to use. But the other thing is, Pistol Pete at LSU, there was no 3-point.
Yeah.
So imagine if there was a 3-point line, how many more points he would have had. He averaged like 44 a game.
But let's not discredit everything that Caitlin Clark has done. I'll take her any day, and I really hope the WNBA-CBA negotiations work themselves out so that we can see her this season.
She needs to speak up. She needs to speak up.
I don't know. We'll get into that one tomorrow. All right, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Mariah. He's Mike. We'll see you tomorrow.